Hey, do you want to come over and make a pot of tea, bring your favorite crystals? We could talk about our birth charts, spirits, the latest house spells we've been doing. Welcome to the neighborhood. I'm that witch next door. Hello, neighbor. Welcome back to another episode of That Witch podcast. If you've never been here before, hi, I'm Danny. I'm That Witch Next Door. I'll be your host, your guide, your mentor, your spiritual bestie in all things modern witchcraft and cosmic living. We have a very special episode today. It has been a while since you've seen her over here in the neighborhood, but my wonderful friend, Ashley Michelle, is here with us today.
Hi. Oh my God. I was just saying, we're cleaning the dust off the mic. It has been a wild Q1 and Q2. It feels good to be home, which is on the mic.
I love that.
Feels really good. Yeah.
It does feel like home, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When you are meant to be a podcaster, you're meant to be a podcaster.
It feels so true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels that way. I totally agree. Ash, this is awesome. So really fast background for anybody who happens to be new to the show. If this happens to be your first time here, what a special episode to join us on. If you're a longtime listener, though, you're very familiar and probably a big fan of Ashley. Ash and I started not that long after I started the podcast. We started doing a regular monthly segment on each of the new moons. We did a segment called Shadow Chats, and we just really got on and talked about the astrology of the new moon and some different like shadow work type stuff that you could do with the new moon.
Yeah.
You may or may not have noticed, Ash and I haven't done that in a little while. We were also recording on Ashley's podcast for Astrology After Dark. You might already be a fan of that. We've been taking a little beat, if you haven't noticed. And there's definitely some reasons behind this. We're going to chat about it. But I wanted to take the opportunity to share it with all of you because I think that especially in business, I think that especially in like female to female business relationships, this stuff is either kept totally hidden and behind the scenes and no one ever hears about it, or it's thrown like on blast in a really big and really dramatic way online. And so, Ash, I wanted to have you on today because I know that you are in a butterfly moment right now. You are in a massive transformation point through your business, through your life, and like so many other aspects of that. So not only do I think that where you're just at right now is incredibly inspiring and going to be so fucking relatable to so many people that are listening.
Yeah.
I really want to show everyone the true nature of our friendship and our relationship and how you and I love each other through these changing seasons of our life. Like so many people just kind of don't put out into the public sphere as much. Yeah.
First of all, like, I love that you said that. I'm in a butterfly moment. I think that needs to go on the whiteboard because that, like, I couldn't have said it better myself. And in so many different areas, like you all know, I talk a lot about wellness and spiritual wellness, financial wellness, emotional wellness. And one of the main reasons why I talk about that is because in like all those boxes, all those overarching areas of wellness, I am in this butterfly moment. And like, I didn't know this was going to happen. I had no clue this was going to happen. I'm just over here chugging along. But I think that's the beauty of working for yourself, to be honest with you, is, you know, you kind of get the cojones to allow yourself to be in a space of transition and transformation and transmutation unapologetically. Whereas I think when you don't work for yourself and you kind of end up in a space of working for the man and dare I say like doing work you don't really want to do, you stay in this place of consistency, yes, but also non-change, and confronting change can be incredibly scary. I've been scared for the last 6 fucking months. I've been fucking petrified. fine. But I've just been going forward and leaning into the joy and what makes me feel good. And so, I had to really, some of you may know that I've been on listening to Danny's podcast for a long time and listening to us, Kiki. I teach business specifically to spiritual entrepreneurs. And I've been doing it for so long. I could do it with my eyes closed. And I mentor. And one of the things that I teach folks in business is that you have to follow the joy. You have to follow what makes you feel good. For some of you, that may be rune work. For others, that may be Reiki work. For others, that may be tarot work, and so on and so forth. And I had to have a come to Jesus moment and recognize that there was this whole other piece of my life that brings me joy. And that's the fitness aspect. I've been on a weight loss journey. I've lost, I think I'm at like 135 pounds now, something like that.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
And, I stepped on stage on a bodybuilding competition twice now, and I'm getting ready to do it again. And this is taking up so much of my life. And I've learned so much about myself spiritually through physical wellness and fitness. I would be doing a disservice to myself, my brand, my business, and my clients if I didn't put these two things together. But as a business owner, there is a right way and a wrong way to put two different niches together. And so I kind of had to go underground to really reorganize and reframe how these niches, who aren't so different, how I was going to explain how they work together to the masses and the audience. And this involves a rebrand. Mm-hmm. I had to think of my business name, Starseed Shadows, and decide if that still resonated in this new era of me. I had to look at my offers and decide, do they still resonate in this new era? And I had to look at podcasting and YouTubing and the messaging that I'm putting out. Does it resonate? And I think you, Danny, did a fantastic job of holding me through this space of being unsure and a little insecure. Because we are all spiritual beings living a human existence. And so when you do one thing for a long time and you get good at it, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now I'm entering this realm of, quote, the fitness influencer. And I'm just this, girl with her tarot cards who thinks she has a little bit of value in this community and think that maybe this fitness community kind of needs a girl like me, because the fitness community can be incredibly vain and shallow and surfacey and superficial, but that's a whole nother conversation. I think you guys could probably use a little bit of my flavor over here and developing the cojones to do it. So I've been in this dark night of the soul and almost kind of like a baby, and working through limiting beliefs that I had worked through years and years and years ago when I was coming out of the broom closet as a witch. Funny how history repeats itself. This is giving very Plutonian vibes, to be quite honest with you. Because coming out as a witch and a mystic in business was a huge, I'm scared. What if they don't accept me? What if I'm wrong? All these weird limiting beliefs were coming up. And I found myself in that same space when I implemented the fitness aspect of it all. So I had to take a beat. I had to take a pause and kind of decide what felt good and then continue to decide what felt good, right? So okay, the business name doesn't feel good. Let's change that. Okay, this podcasting doesn't feel good. Maybe that'll change. And that's kind of what happened. Initially I'm not even sure if I want to podcast anymore. And I allowed myself to take a break, to take a beat, to take a minute. And I'm recognizing not only do I still want to podcast, but I really fucking enjoy it. And I think sometimes as business owners in general, no matter where we are, we don't allow ourselves to take a beat. And I think that comes from conditioning and feeling like we have to keep up with the Joneses. And it makes me think of the Hamilton song, Take a Break. Just take a fucking break. It's okay. And I spent pretty much half the year underground and obviously still creating content here or there, but more so geared towards reach and just kind of, that's the focus right now. Light selling, but it's more so just let's just build my audience up and let's just kind of build this, the authority, right? In the fitness realm and continue building my authority in the spiritual realm. And also too, what am I actually talking about? I'm actually talking about wellness. I'm not really just talking about fitness. I'm not really just talking about spirituality. I'm talking about wellness. So who is Ashley as a wellness creator? And that's kind of where we've been.
So you bring up so many good points, because there is so much that goes into this that unless you have your own firsthand experience, most people do not realize. There's a couple of things that happen for business owners. Number one, you've nurtured your baby of your business. That is your business. You've nurtured this baby. Your blood, sweat, and tears have gone into it for most of us. The vast majority of entrepreneurs did not have all this upfront capital and investors and support. It usually came out of your blood, sweat, and tears, driven by passion and a little delusion along the way, most of the way. There is a reason why there is such a common phrase that entrepreneurs are the only people willing to work 60 hours a week to avoid working 40 hours a week. And it is so fucking true. It is so fucking true. But you have to understand that when you put that amount of time, energy, money, you've given, and when I say time, I'm talking about your best time, your nights, your weekends, the best
early
of
mornings.
Yes,
my best time, my early mornings.
Yes, exactly. You're giving everything to it. You start building enough. You start making some consistent money, whether it's enough or not. Either way, you start making enough and consistent, right? You start finally getting this foundation, and then what can happen is either you change. Your life can change. The industry can change. You can realize things. Lifestyle changes happen that come into play, and you get presented with a crossroads.
Yeah.
And this is why, as creators, I want you as consumers to start paying attention to this. Even if you're a creator yourself, get the consumer part of yourself to look at your favorite creators. The ones TikTok is such a good example. Your favorite TikTok creators, and even Instagram and YouTube, create the same basic thing, right? It's why we talk about your niche over and over and over again. Because this is what's bingeable. This is what people will build loyalty on. There's a reason. But the problem is that this is not conducive to natural human change and evolution.
No,
and the fact that we're not unchanging. We are literally constantly changing. Yes, exactly. So then you get presented with this conflict. You get presented with this that crossroads happens in the underworld. This is a total Hecate moment. That crossroads happens in the underworld.
Girl, I was sitting with Hecate. Fucking Lilith. Holy shit, girl.
Exactly. Woo! Because what they say is you can keep going the way you've been going. Yeah. It's available to you. You can keep going at exactly the same way, the same pace, making the same choices. There are these other options available to you as well. They're scary. And the worst part is, no matter which road you take, even if it's the one you're already on, you have no idea what the outcome's going to be.
Right.
You have no idea. This is a huge leap of faith, no matter what it is that you do.
No matter what,
Yes. And I have watched personally a lot of content creators, and I think this makes so much sense. Think about how many of us built our foundation, Ash, during the pandemic and right after. Yeah. You have to understand that we
was
did
one
this.
Of those.
Yes, exactly. While we were at home, we had the time. So many things were different.
The government was giving us money. We had the capital, we had the time, and we had everything.
The demand was there.
Exactly.
All of these things. Well, now here we are in 2025. It's not 2020/2021 anymore. The landscape is changing. Number one, people are wanting in-person things again.
They are.
This is not, there was a time for so long there that it was we're going to be online for fucking ever. We're never going to go back to in-person classes are never going to come back. I mean, it really, in the thick of it, felt that way. And now we are seeing that natural pendulum swing, right? And a decrease in some of the demand, or a change in the demand, a change in our fucking selves, in our own passions and the things that we're after that might have been different back then. And I really, really think one of the biggest things that happens to a lot of business owners is do I take the risk changing something that I built in this way for the same way for do you know how fucking scary that is, you guys? Do you know how scary it is?
Yeah.
And you think that it's so easy, or you might think that it's so easy to change. Do you know how terrifying it is to take a leap of faith to change your content, let alone take a break from creating it? It's terrifying. So when you were in the middle of a lot of this dark night of the soul, Ash, what was this like for you? Whatever you're comfortable sharing, what were some of the things contributing to knowing that I think a change is here?
Well, first off, I think my biggest thing in saying that I think a change is here is that I was feeling burnt out and wiped out. I think that was the biggest thing. I was feeling burnt out. Some of my creations I didn't have the spark like I did for some of these things that I was putting out into the universe. And I also felt and do feel incredibly passionate as a spiritual creator. I help people live their best lives. Like, that's what I do at the core. I help people step into a unknown version of themselves that they truly thought didn't exist. And I look at myself as the example when I am in creation for my products and my services. I needed to include the physical aspect. I could not do business anymore authentically and of integrity without including some sort of physical component. And for those of you that are new here, I've been teaching spin on and off for about almost a decade. And I've been teaching spin on for the last 3-4 years. I recently got my personal training certificate that I worked really hard for on top of the bodybuilding journey. And so here I am, this person where fitness and health and nutrition has been an integral part of my life for fucking ever, but it had always been in the background. And I just recognized like the spiritual experiences that I had on the bike, on the Stairmaster, stepping on stage, understanding how I work with food. How can I teach spirituality and not have this as a part of it? So that was the first thing. I had to rebuild. And there was no reason for me to waste all this manpower and my precious moments of time building upon a brand that was missing something. And I had to kind of go underground to figure out what it was missing. And again, to go a little left-brained, there is a way of doing business the right way so that you aren't wasting time. It's more than just putting out a post and saying, hey guys, it's here. There's strategy involved. And so I had to kind of go underground and figure out what this new strategy looked like. And then the things that you guys don't see, like SEO. Does the brand name Starseed Shadows work with where I'm going? And I love my business name, Starseed Shadows. I remember the exact day when Starseed Shadows came into birth. I was with my girlfriend. We were waiting tables that day. We were by the computer, the POS system. If you know, you know. And I was talking to her about this idea. And she was like, what about Starseed Shadows? It's like moody. And I'm like, oh my God, that is really moody. And we were like workshopping ideas. And I was like, well, I'm Starseed. I love shadow work. And that's how Starseed Shadows was born. I remember that day. But also we have to remember, this was 5-6 years ago. I no longer wait tables. I no longer am 300 pounds. Like I also,
it feels like a different time. It feels like a totally different lifetime.
It's a different timeline. And the brand and the business should grow with you.
Yes.
This is why we go into business ourselves. And I had to remember that because just like you said, it is really tough. I had these feelings of guilt that I had to work through because I'm always a shadow worker at heart, friends. Always, no matter how big my muscles get. Shadow worker always. And so I recognize these weird feelings of guilt as if I was letting somebody down or letting down the spiritual community by leaning heavy into fitness. And I had these feelings of imposter syndrome by I'm leaning heavy into fitness. And I'm like, I still have a fupa. Like I have stretch marks. Like my body doesn't look like some of these fitness influencers. I had all these crazy dark night, very Cancer rising. I'm a Cancer rising. I was in the underbellies of my rising sign for quite some time. And I had to, again, go back to basics. When a client comes to see me for shadow work, what do I tell them? To go deep into the why of the feeling. So I was going deep into the why of the imposter syndrome. Why do I feel like I don't belong here? Like, who told me that? Where did that come from? I had to go deep into the feelings of guilt. Who said I'm letting down the witches? Who said that? Are the witches even let down, or am I making it up in my head? And why would they be let down? Because I'm incorporating this very, very important aspect into life. I had feelings of guilt of letting down previous clients, or also feelings of like people would think that I'm like bragging because I lost the weight. That was a big thing too, you know? And why are we feeling so emo about this transition? And I had to recognize that these feelings were, they were external. They were coming from, at the end of the day, Danny, it all comes from one thing, wanting external validation. And then I had to realize my why. It's not for external validation. I am here to help. I'm not here for my own validation. Nothing is wrong with wanting validation, friends. I think nothing is wrong with needing somebody to say, bitch, you're doing a good fucking job. I think we need more of that. But when we go into business, again, going back to what I teach when I teach business, we don't go into business for ourselves. Aspects of it do feed ourselves, yes, but what I'm really getting at is when I'm creating a piece of content, and this is, again, what I teach in business, that content is not for me. Who's it for? This goes into ICA work, ideal client avatar work. And I had to remind myself, why is it so important to do this rebrand? Why is it so important to rethink my business model? Why is it so important to change the name?
Because of who you're going to help, because of who you're serving.
Exactly.
Yep.
So why am I so caught up in the external validation of others? Who did it? Who upset me so much when I was 10? You know, and that's where the shadow work is. And this is why I'm so passionate about business, about, you know, physical health, about the emotional health, because you learn so much about yourself. And it's through this work that can feel a little dark and trying. It's through this work that you recognize that you truly are limitless, but only if you believe it. Yeah. And sometimes we have to go through the uncomfortable feelings to get to the other side.
Growth never feels good. Growth never feels comfy. Growth feels good after. When you come out the birth canal and you're like free and you're like, oh, wow. But the growing pains or the labor pains, whatever you want to call them, they are only catalyzed by discomfort or distress of some kind.
Yes.
And it rarely, if ever, feels good in it, because to me, I look at that. I mean, look at metamorphosis itself. Look at how much is changing on the inside and the outside. I mean, just to like really lean into our butterfly analogy, look at the first form compared to the second form. You have to like be able to cope with being up in the air eventually, right? Like your body has to be able to support these new literal heights that you're going to be seeing, these new problems that you will encounter. And in order to do that, you have to go through some serious fucking change.
You do.
To be ready for that on the other side. And so it fucking sucks while you are in it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love that you brought up this conversation about internal and external validation, because I agree, if it's something that we're learning more and more, especially as we're like really getting into Pluto in Aquarius, I don't know that anything in our life and existence is truly binary. I think that everything is sub-level and multi-complex and multi-layered. Anything we think is like black or white is not. It's like bigger and it's deeper every single time, because it's for so long, you're so right, for so long, the last like 10 years that I've been in business, what we keep harping on and chirping is like, it's all about your inner, only your inner validation. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. And that's not wholly true.
Right.
There is a type of and an extent of external validation that, yes, if you're only operating off of that, you'll burn yourself out that way. If you're only looking for literal approval and never anything else, you'll eventually burn yourself out because it's not the world's job to tell you that you're doing a good job. And at the same time, it's unrealistic to say that the external response or reception of what you put out doesn't matter, because that's not true. Look at the people that put out total empty, mindless garbage.
Right.
The fact that that doesn't get received is important. That matters. I would hope that the feedback, the external feedback from that is, take your garbage back. We don't fucking want, like, there is a point that external validation or the opposite absolutely matters. But when you're talking about the core of this, your why, really it's about whose external validation that matters the most, the people that you are meant to help. This is where the spiritual part of the spiritual entrepreneur comes in, because one thing that if you are a shadow worker, this is the beauty of it, is you'll come back no matter how far you feel astray, no matter how uncomfortable, no matter where you're at. If you're doing the inner work, what happens is over and over again as spiritual people, we come back to, what's our purpose? Like, what's my purpose, though? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And you had to be
recognized continuing on Starseed Shadow's journey the exact same way without any change would not have been fulfilling the purpose.
Exactly. Yes.
That's what people don't understand, is they think, we're really bred to believe that loyalty means unending kind of blind loyalty to something.
Blind
and that's
loyalty.
Not true.
Just
Starseed Shadows, was meant to walk so that Ascending with Ashley could run. Exactly.
Exactly. And Ascending with Ashley. So that is the new name. By the time this is dropped, it would have already been announced. But in case you didn't hear, that's where we're going.
Oh, and, I'm sure a lot of people are already listening. That there's so many of you that already keep up in all of Ashley's universe.
Yeah.
I'm really excited that you get to hear this on the Cancer new moon, because you're probably like already so excited about what changes you've been seeing these last couple of weeks.
Yeah. And I chose Ascending with Ashley because, again, I went back to my purpose. And for anybody who's like trying to start a business or like trying to figure it out, going back to the why, how do I help? I help people level up. So what are different words for leveling up? Oftentimes we kind of overcomplicate things. This is exactly what I did. I help people level up. Okay, so give me some synonyms for it. And Ascend came in. Ascend, Ashley, that feels good. And then I looked at the SEO. My name is good SEO in general because of the show. So let's put Ashley in there, Ascending with Ashley. And that also left it open for interpretation, where I can include fitness, health, nutrition stuff. I can include astrology, new moon, full moon stuff. I can include limiting belief work and shadow work. It's a massive umbrella that really, it includes everything that I want to talk about. We are not one-dimensional. We're not one-trick ponies. And that was something I had to remind myself of, even though I spouted it and talked about it so much in the Starseed Shadows era. I think I forgot that along the way, where I was putting myself in a box of just creating a certain type of content. And I'm like, but I'm so much more than that. And the one thing I've recognized is they want it. Witches want to lift weights too. Witches want to feel good inside their bodies too. Witches want to understand nutrition too. And this fear that I had of letting down the witches because I include more fitness content was absolutely irrational. It was 3D brain coming in. It was ego coming in, because the only thing I've seen since I've been slow burning this rebrand is the witches wanting more of this, and the witches finally feeling seen in the fitness space, which again, we use ourselves as an example. That was all I ever fucking wanted, was to feel seen in the fitness space as a mystic. So of course my ICA, ideal client avatar, wants to feel the same. Business is business is business, no matter what niche you're in. So I've learned a lot about myself, and I'm learning a lot about myself, and I'm also learning a lot about what I like. So if you're also like feeling like you're in a rut, maybe take a break, because there was a moment where I called you, Danny, and I was like, I don't even know about a podcast anymore. Yeah! And like now, like literally, we come on this podcast. I'm like, it feels good to be home. I'm supposed to be doing this, you know? I just needed a break. That's it. You know?
And you bring up such a good point there. It's so easy to be on the outside and not realize this could happen.
Mm-hmm.
We usually start out with our business being based in things that we like.
Yeah.
Born of our passion.
Mm-hmm.
You would be shocked at how quickly things you thought that you loved turn into things that you don't love.
Mm-hmm.
Or everything starts feeling like it's pulling from your joy. And you have to take this break to realize, oh no, I do still love doing that. Okay. This, I did not love doing this.
Yeah.
This needs to go.
Yeah.
This needs to be shed. You can't realize any of it until you kind of put this big full stop on a lot and go, and then start diagnosing like where the actual ailment was. Because somebody in here was a soul drainer and I need to figure out exactly where it is. And this is like, there's so much, there's so much I can relate to here. Because when I started out my business and I wanted to start offering an astrological portion and service, was obviously so important that I established myself as an astrological authority.
Right.
I had to have the ability to show that I knew what I was talking about.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And if you follow a good variety of witches, you will find that a lot of times Ashley and I are a couple of the few that really fuse witchcraft and astrology. Most people choose one or the other. Most people go straight up astrology. We are astrologer content. Maybe some manifesting conversation. Maybe some witchy little dabbling here and there. Or we're a full-blown witch. We might mention the sign that the moon is in. We might mention a couple of things about Gemini, but I'm not giving astrological readings. And here I was going, no, I'm going to I have to. It was very similar when you talked about fitness, because there is no walking this path without the astrologer side of me and the witch side of me. There's just not. But I had to find the right balance. And I started going down this road where through establishing my astrological structure and really good, strong foundation, I got presented with this issue of, you are going to start only doing astrology, or we need to start beefing up and actually establishing the witch part. And I didn't realize that a big reason I wasn't doing that was my own imposter syndrome that was coming up. And I was like, the astrology thing is so easy for me because it's so based in measurable, you know what I mean? Definitions and rules. Here's where this is on the chart. Here's the number right here. Here, it's so fucking easy.
It's very a matter of fact, as a matter of fact.
And in witchcraft,
it's not.
I have to trust my intuition. You
very
have to trust
5D.
my, yes, there's a lot of self-trust that goes into that. And I really, this came with a decision where I had to say, in order to really lean into the witch of that witch, astrology is going to have to take a side seat, and that feels really, really scary. And I'm afraid that I won't be, people won't come to, when you do astrology content, you feel like you have to talk about every single fucking new moon. You have to talk about every single planetary, you know what I mean? Or people aren't going to come and listen to your content or whatever.
Right.
And the truth is that I had to step back and go, this is what made me think of it. What do I actually like? And what can be let go of anyways?
Yeah.
Yes. And that's where I was like, for me, this is what I love about Moon Day Musings. It helps me in my own personal life, helps me stay on top of the astrological transits. I love this weekly connection with everybody. Other than that, if you get your astrological information outside of my neighborhood, that is fucking fine by me. We're doing other stuff. There's plenty of stuff that we can be doing. And that brings tons and tons of value. But I had to take a seat back and go, somebody else, you can go to somebody else to learn exactly about this aspect or whatever it is. But it was scary pulling back from this type of very like where I was comfortable. And you've brought up comfort a couple times. I think what we're really talking about is complacency.
Ooh, yeah. 100% complacency.
Yes.
Because, you get used to doing something and that's just what you do. You get used to selling a certain product or offer and that's just what you do. You get used to launching a certain way and that's just what you do. You get used to talking to a certain type of client and that's just what you do. And it kind of speaks to what you were talking about at the top of the episode, where you put your blood, sweat, and tears into this business for so long. To rearrange it is almost cruel.
Yeah.
You spend so much time. In my specific case, I spent so much time understanding the mind of my ICA, my ideal client avatar, and creating content around the mystic that is ready to build a business and a brand, and really speaking to the things that they are working through and working towards, and really getting a hold on it. To then just break it the fuck down is such a tower moment.
Yes.
The tower is scary. Speaking of the tower, let's just go there for a second. The tower in tarot is one of the most misunderstood cards in the deck, because when it comes up, people often think, holy shitballs, Batman. This is absolutely horrible. But the way that I love to explain the tower card is it really is a come to Jesus moment. You have to jump out of the tower or you will be burned the fuck up. You're going to be scared. It's going to be okay. But on the other side of the tower, like think about regeneration and why fires are purposefully started. We build up from that shit, and so there is this beautiful invitation to break through what we thought we knew, to step into who we are becoming if we want it. I was just explaining this in my Witchy Wellness community the other day around astrology. And I was talking about the idea that astrology is an invitation. And so all the naysayers around the world, they're like, astrology isn't real and blah, 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 blah. And I don't care what the moon is. They don't understand a fundamental piece of the work. It's an invitation. The moon being in Taurus will not affect you if you don't allow yourself to understand how it could affect you, especially if you are a Taurus sun, if that makes sense to the audience here. And it's the same when it comes to these like butterfly moments that we have in life. These are invitations to step the fuck up. And we can either stay in this space of complacency or we can step the fuck up. And again, bringing it all back to the fitness journey, I had to step the fuck up and recognize that I didn't love being 320 pounds. I had to be fucking honest about it. I could have stayed where I was and pretended that everything was fine. And I would still probably have a successful business. I would still probably just be reading tarot. My business still definitely would have been very one-dimensional. At that time, I was just reading tarot and just doing astrology readings. I've leveled up tremendously. But we have calls in life, right? We have calls. Do we step up to the call and do we really see what we're made of? Or do we stay in a place of complacency because it's what we know? And this can be applied to every area of life, every area.
1,000,000%. Exactly. It's because it's what we know.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many times we're not choosing it because it brings us joy, because it fills us, because it aligns with our purpose. We're choosing it because it's what we know. And that's what those crossroads in the underworld, those dark nights of the soul fucking confront us with, is you might be calling it on the surface like, I love doing this. I love doing this. Or is it because you're familiar with it? Because it's what you know, because you're comfortable here. And just to like lean right into your own branding message, Ashley, of leveling up and ascending, you don't do that by staying in what you know.
You really
There's
don't.
no way to level up or ascend in any type of way by only doing what you know. It will always come with having to try something new, new beginnings, new starts. And all of those mean being bad at something, starting out really fucking unfamiliar and having to figure your shit out. Exactly. So this is like, we have, in the past, Shadow Chats was this place that Ashley and I would come to at the new moon to talk about the new moon astrology and a little bit of shadow work that you could do. There's so much about where and who Ash and I have been throughout those first 3 years of Shadow Chat's journey.
Yeah.
That is just completely flipped on its fucking head. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, think about we started at the end of 2021. Isn't that crazy? Think about yourself at the end of 2021. Who the fuck were you, everybody? Think about who you were at the end of 2021. Because that feels like almost as old as my fucking middle school self at this point.
Yeah.
That's how much has changed since then. So essentially, the horizon for Ashley and I is not, ending and separating, but it is amidst this big rebirth. And we are both in different types of very transformative moments. And you're seeing that reflected in our content. And you're going to see that reflected in how we create content together. And it might not look like exactly the same Shadow Chats. It's not going to look like the same Shadow Chats. I'm not going to call it Shadow Chats. There's so much that you and I have learned over these last 3 years that it's time to bring that to the mic. It's time to bring that stuff, those conversations forward, because you don't realize that when you stay with what you know only, you also fucking limit the hell out of yourself.
You limit yourself so much.
Yes. There's so much more that we know and we've grown through that deserves to be talked about and shared, that goes bigger than the old way that we used to do things. And I don't know how much you want to share about this, but this reminds me a lot of why and how you're expanding Astrology After Dark as well.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about it. So those of you that listen to Astrology After Dark, don't worry. And those of you that listen to my podcast, I know that you've seen it be the Goddess Complex and the Spiritually Fit podcast. At the time that this is coming out, it should already be out. The podcast is going to be out under Ascending with Ashley. You can still get all the old episodes. So none of those old episodes are going anywhere. Feel free to binge them. And as Danny said, it is a rebirth. We know how much you guys enjoy hearing us just kiki about astrology, and we love to kiki about astrology. So that's what we're going to do. We're still going to kiki about astrology. We're still going to sprinkle in some celebrity birth charts. But I think what we're going to do more so, I think Danny and I, as advanced astrologers, I think we both have seen there's a need for general astro education. And again, as folks that have been doing this work for a long time, it can be kind of forgotten about that somebody just needs to understand what Mars and Aquarius means. And having a general conversation about that sort of stuff. And so the way I see Astrology After Dark forming is it'll just be underneath Ascending with Ashley. We'll probably still meet once a month. I think the biggest thing that Danny and I are going to do is we're going to put less pressure on the content creation, and we're going to do it, but it's going to be less pressure around it. And I think what it is going to look like, it's going to be general astrology questions. I would love to do something where we answer your questions, where you guys email us in questions or DM us questions that you have on astrology. And Danny and I just fucking riff, right? Because we do this off air, speaking of which, when I was going through this deep dark night of the soul, I sent her my birth chart. I'm like, Daddy, look at what's transiting over here. She goes, yeah, girl. And that is transiting over there. Like this is literally what we do. And we would love to kind of give you guys some of that BTS of the astrolingo and how we arrived where we arrived to, instead of just posting shit on our stories, which I'm very guilty of doing, and saying, look, Pluto and Aquarius. I know you guys don't understand what the fuck I mean. But and so I kind of want to break some of that down, because speaking of Pluto and Aquarius, we are just in the beginning of this transit. And my God, holy hell, there's example after example after example after example after example of Pluto and Aquarius is showing up in pop culture absolutely everywhere. And so I do think there is a job, dare I say, a duty to just kiki about astrology with you all to listen to us. Because I do believe understanding astrology and general transits is another way to help you ascend and level up. So it deserves a seat at the table.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been so everything and more. And so to round us out, Ash, I would love it if to anybody out there who is at their own version of the crossroads, whether it's in their business, in their life, they know that they are being presented with pretty radical change and it feels fucking scary. What do you have to say to that person?
Jump headfirst into it. You can figure it out as you go. Sometimes we don't always need a plan. Don't be so type A about it. Everything always works out for me. One of my favorite mantras. Put it on your wall, put it on your mirror, write it down 1,000 times. Everything always works out for me. Continue, be delusional. You got to be a little delusional. It is what it is. You got to be a little delusional. So
believe, yeah. One of my favorite phrases that gets offered to me is believe that I believe. Sometimes believe that there's something bigger than you and trust that. Yeah. If you can't trust yourself yet, that part will come, but trust whatever that greater, bigger call is. It's pulling you for a reason. And I love that you said, don't be so type A about it because we're recording this. You'll all hear this in Gemini season, but this is recorded in quintessential Mercury ruled Gemini energy, which is don't take yourself so fucking seriously. Yeah. Laugh. So know that you're allowed to change your mind. Know that it's okay if it's messy.
I fully agree.
I think a lot of us hold ourselves back from any of these changes because we think things like, I can't change the name of my podcast. And I love that, Ash, you came on here and you were just like, yeah, you probably know me as Goddess Complex. You might have also seen Spiritually Fit. Here's what it is. It doesn't have to be anything more than that.
No.
It can just
because we don't have to explain ourselves to anybody else. The content speaks for itself and the right people will follow you. You just keep pushing out what feels authentic to you. You know, they're going to follow you while you're chaotic. They're going to follow you while you're streamlined because they're following you for you.
Fuck yeah. You know? So true. I'm so glad that we did this. This is so good. And we have just a really fresh, brand new horizon. And this episode is such an homage to the blood, sweat, and tears we both poured in over the last 3 years. And it got us to here to today for a reason.
I couldn't agree more. I love it.
Absolutely. Ash, especially for anybody who, magically, this was their first episode, can you please tell the people where we can find you and follow you and support your work?
Yeah. So it's Ashley Michelle 90 Day across all short form platforms. So like TikTok, Instagram, all that. Ascending with Ashley on YouTube, Ascending with Ashley on the podcast. I am doing virtual personal training. So if that's something that interests you, obviously it's spiritually infused personal training. So you're getting a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's like, my cauldron of witchy goodness while we work on that bod and get you tight and right, honey. So I will send Danny the link to apply. And that's what I'm doing. And then as always, you can always just book a reading. So you can book a tarot reading, book an astrology reading. That piece will never leave from my product suite. Those are available for you to book as well. So, I'm excited to see what this second half of 2025, which I can't believe I'm saying that, but we are officially in the second half of 2025.
I know.
It's
absolutely
crazy.
Wild.
This hermit year, man, has really been a hermit year so far. So we'll see what happens on the other side.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my God. So true. I just love you so much. Thanks for coming on and doing this with me. This is such a good, I think a really good example to a lot of people what your business, career, friendships can look be, my friends. Yes, exactly.
It's okay to pivot. It's okay to change. Yes. It's okay.
Be honest with your people around you. The right people will, whether that's your followers and your clients or just the people in your life, the right people will keep supporting you and loving you through your butterfly moments. Exactly.
Yeah. So true.
Thank you so much, love. Neighbor, thank you for your time and your energy today and every day. It means the world to me. If you have any questions, you can always send them our way. Ash and I are not going anywhere, and we love answering your questions. Remember, my friends, while you're out there, don't forget to stay safe. Keep letting yourselves have some fun. And of course, stay magical, my friends. If you enjoyed today's episode, if you learned something, or you just love That Witch podcast, one of the best things that you can do is share the show with a friend. Just by reaching out and sharing a link or recommending us to somebody is hands down the best way to help us grow our podcast here. So you can head right now into the podcast app that you're listening to, and you can directly share this episode by using your little share link button, or you can just take a screenshot or just mention That Witch podcast to whoever you're recommending us to, because you can find That Witch podcast on all major podcast listening platforms. Thanks for being such a great neighbor.